week number 4 of our class online. Only 3 days in this week, which is pretty exciting, and then only 3 days in the next week. So pretty soon it will almost be May. But this is also Holy Week. So Holy Week is the week that we prepare for Easter. So we got Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and of course Sunday is Easter. Forgot to mention, but Wednesday is also called Spy Wednesday, and then we'll talk about that when we get to Wednesday. Tonight, don't forget, Saints vs. Falcons in the Superdome, 2006, I think. I was at the Monday morning assembly at Jesuit as a sophomore, so maybe it was 2007. And Mike Tirico, the announcer that's going to call the game for tonight, came to morning assembly, and some of your other teachers may have mentioned this. And it was just really cool. It was the Saints' first game back at the Superdome after Katrina, and the ESPN broadcast was there, and of course we won the game. I think you would have known that by now, but yeah, go ahead, watch the game. It's pretty awesome tonight. But for today, we are going to move on to the book of Job, not Job, the book of Job. Okay, that long O. This is the weird one. I told you that we were going to get to some of these big questions of why does an all good God allow bad things to happen, and it really kind of is hitting us at a good time here, right? We've got Holy Week where God dies, right? Jesus dies on the cross. Seems pretty bad. We've got the coronavirus going on in the entire world, and you've got to still take classes, right? So why do bad things happen to good people? And that's what the book of Job is really about, the problem of evil. And coincidentally, the book of Job is kind of like, it has baffled, or it has grabbed the attention of all of the Abrahamic faiths, right? So the Jewish people have a lot to say about the book of Job. Islam has a lot to say about the book of Job. And obviously Catholicism, Christianity has a lot to say about the book of Job. And it's I think it's because it's such a universal phenomenon, right? To ask these puzzling questions like, okay, if God's all good and all loving, why would bad things happen? So let's just jump right into it. Here we go. Job, the J-O-B. Job, good guy. Job does nothing wrong. And you probably have heard in the Gospels, right, like where a guy's born blind, or someone's got leprosy. They say like, oh, it's because he's a sinner, or his family sinned. Someone sinned that made him bad. Job has got everything. Job's got a great family. He's got a lot of possessions, living the good life, and he loves God. Like by all accounts, he's one of the best guys in the Bible, and yet these bad things start to happen. We've already been over that, so let's just move on. So, why is it that an all good God could allow bad things to happen to good people? We get why they might happen to bad people. That's also not the case either, right? God doesn't just punish bad people with, he doesn't smite people. Like, have you ever seen Bruce Almighty? Never see Evan Almighty. If you've seen Evan Almighty, you've gotten years off of your purgatory sentence. Never watch Evan Almighty. But if you've seen Bruce Almighty, he's asking God, like, oh, smite me, Almighty Smiter. And the idea is like, some people think that God will throw some bad things at bad people. It's not how God operates, right? God is love, so God's not going to just smite people out of the blue. But what about good people? We get confused of why bad things would happen to good people. And for most of us, myself included here, and a little bit with Katrina as well, when your grandparents start to get sick or die, right? Or a tragedy does happen in the family. There's usually that question of like, well, God, like my grandma was such a good person. Why would you let her get cancer, right? Or suffer in this way? Or, you can think of the coronavirus worldwide. Like if this were to happen, how could there be a good God? And the Jewish people really struggled with this after World War II. And that a lot of Jewish people left the faith because they said, like, if there really was an all good and loving God, the Holocaust wouldn't have happened. The book of Job has an answer for it. And I think in order to understand the answer, you need to already have the eyes of faith working pretty hard there. And so it's sometimes you can almost say it's not a satisfying answer, but it is, again, if you're a believer. And I think that is also going to be really important for Holy Week, right? If you look at the cross and you say, if that guy was God, Jesus, and he's dead, doesn't seem like a victory, right? And yet we say Ave Crux Spes Unica, that hail the cross, our only hope, right? So how is it that Christians can say the cross is a good thing, right? Jesus died on the cross. Well, Job kind of gives us the insights there. Okay, so let's see how it plays out. So, this is kind of what I was saying in the last slide, is that the book of Job is not going to straight up answer the question. It's not going to go, oh, here's the secret. The reason God allows bad things to happen to good people is, and then like the last page is ripped off or something, right? It's not going to give you a straight up answer, but it's more of a mental shift. It's the way that your eyes start to see, or you can say like the eyes of faith, right? Start to see the world. It's this mental shift. Now, as the reader, some things that Job does not know. So Job's a good guy, right? And then basically the devil's like, oh, the only reason that Job is a good guy, God, is because you've blessed him with so many great things. If you took away those great things, Job would forget about you, right? And God's like, no, Job is a good and faithful servant. So let's jump right into this mystery. And this will be kind of the last slide. We're only going to do the introduction part today. And then tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll finish up the book of Job. And I'll say a little bit about Easter. Okay. So the first level, and then this is it for today. The first level understanding Job is this: the problem of evil. So we've been talking about all day today. The simple answer is, you could say, well, the reason that bad things happen to Job is that Job is not actually all that good. Turns out Job looked like he was good, but Job was in the mafia or something, right? Like Job was doing some bad deals behind the scenes, right? The contra here just means, well, let's look at the facts. Is there anything against that simple answer? Well, yeah, right out the bat, God agrees. God's like, Job is a good guy. So you've got two choices, right? You could either say, no, Job just looks like a bad guy, and even God's been fooled by him. Or if God knows that he's a good guy, and you trust that God is speaking the truth, okay, well, that can't be the answer then. So what do you do? And this is how the book of Job, and I'm just going to go back a slide, right? This is how the book of Job starts to train those eyes of faith. It starts to invite you into the mystery. Is that it's having you do this process by which you have to train yourself to see the way God sees and not the way that humans would see, right? Because originally you're going to kind of identify with Job's ignorance. Why would bad things happen to good people, right? But this invitation into the mystery of who God is, and then you can kind of say the mystery of the problem of evil, is only possible, again, to see this, is only possible if you go through the process of belief yourself, right? I think in our modern culture, we like things to be just shown to us. The commercial, like, show me the Carfax. We just want to be shown the answer. Sometimes that can't be the case. You have to actually go through the thing in order to see the answer. Think of the difference between hiking all the way up to the top of the cliff to see the beautiful waterfall overlooking this huge valley, right? It means a heck of a lot more if you did the 8-hour hike to get up there versus if you took the little monorail up, right? There's something about the journey of going through it that shapes the way that you see it. Or think of the difference, right? We can go into Google right now and type in, let's see, what was my favorite, like El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, or Half Dome, right? Have you ever been to these national parks, right? Or if you've seen Old Faithful at Yellowstone. Although Old Faithful is kind of right by that's probably not the best example because it's right by a gift shop. But let's say that you did this amazing hike, and it means so much more. Or you could just, like, the beauty of it all, you're able to take it in a different way because you did the hike. The journey made the thing even better versus Googling it and looking at it on your screen, right? We can see it here. Someone has taken a picture of Lake Banff in Canada, and you can see it, right? But going down there and seeing how blue the water is in person is a very different thing. The same is true with who God is that it'd be one thing if the book of Job said, here's the answer. And we go, oh, okay. It's another to start to see the way God sees. And what you're going to do in the book of Job, because we're going to look at the other four the next 2 days, in the book of Job is God is training you. He's taking you on that journey, taking you on that hike to see the way he sees. And by the end of the book of Job, you might not have an answer at the moment, right? Like, there's no, like, magic answer. The answer what is it, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they say the answer to life is 42, right? It's not that kind of answer. It's really what it is that by the end of the book of Job, you are better able to see how God is working in your life. And that's the goal for the book of Job, okay? So this is more introduction today, and then tomorrow and Wednesday we'll take a look more specifically at the things of Job. So there'll only be a few questions today. Make sure you answer those, and I will see you guys in the next one.